There exists an area so unfathomably large that humans refer to it simply as space. From the beginning of life on Earth, humans have been gazing up at this space, speckled with enticing dots of light shining down onto our planet. Stories had been told long before the curiosity of the cosmos inspired scientists to find a way to take a closer look. In the year of 1608, Hans Lippershey invented the telescope that was the first step to discovering the great unknown. Without innovative minds like Lippershey, we may never have discovered that there was so much more to our universe than the planet that we call home. This was the first step to harnessing the incredible power beyond our atmosphere. For many innovative souls, life upon the ground became too mundane, and they began to attempt to take to the sky. In 1901, Wilbur and Orville Wright were well on their way to gaining flight. They were frustrated by the flight test of their 1900 and 1901 gliders, and they began to question the aerodynamic data on which they were basing their designs. They decided to measure their own values of lift and drag with a series of wind tunnel tests. December 17, 1903. The Wright brothers made their first successful leap that pushed man into space. Orville Wright piloted the first powered airplane 20 feet above a windswept beach in North Carolina. The invention of the airplane and the wind tunnel helped scientists and explorers understand that it was possible to break the bonds of gravity and look at the world from a whole new perspective. Like many progressive ideas in history, they took this idea and flew with it. From that original 12-second flight by Orville Wright in 1903, scientists invented a machine that would take a person farther than ever before. October 14, 1947. Chuck Yeager, from the cockpit of the Bell X-1, became the first confirmed pilot to have exceeded the speed of sound. But Yeager broke more barriers than that of sound that day. April 12, 1961. This day will go down in time as the first day in history of mankind that every human was not on the same planet, encompassed within the same atmosphere. On this day in history, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space when he launched into orbit on the Russian spacecraft, the Voskhod 1. 1961 to 1963. Project Mercury was the NASA program that first put American astronauts into space. Astronauts made a total of 6 space flights during the Project Mercury. In order to ensure safety, the monkey, Sam, and 2 chimpanzees, Ham and Enos, flew in the Mercury capsules before any human astronauts took this flight. Sam flew on the Little Joe rocket, Ham flew on the Redstone rocket, and Enos launched on the Atlas rocket. Sam and Ham made suborbital flights, while Enos made 2 orbits around the Earth. Since all 3 primates made it home safely, NASA knew that it was safe for astronauts. Some may question the morality of using animals to test a dangerous technology, but their contribution made it possible for man to break the barrier of the atmosphere. Alan Shepard made the first Mercury flight, and that flight made him the first American in space. The 15-minute flight went into space and came back down on the Mercury capsule named the Freedom 7. The 3rd astronaut to fly in Project Mercury was John Glenn. In 1962, he became the first American to orbit Earth aboard the Friendship 7. December 10, 1963. Chuck Yeager once again took a groundbreaking flight. The Lockheed NF-104 aerospace trainer incorporated a liquid fuel rocket engine in addition to the conventional turbojet engines. The modification was done to allow flight regimes and under conditions not obtainable with the available operational airplanes. This aircraft was used to provide spaceflight training in a fraction of the cost of a fully powered rocket research aircraft. July of 1969. It's a little over 8 years since the flight of Gagarin, followed quickly by President Kennedy's challenge to put a man on the moon before the decade is out. A man had been to space. It is possible for a human to be launched through the atmosphere into space. The same space that was once just an unfathomable abyss was now within our grasp. July 20th, 1969, at 10:56 p.m., Apollo 11 astronaut Neil Armstrong is ready to plant the first human foot on another world. With more than 500 million people watching on television, he climbs down the ladder and proclaims, That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Many things made this momentous step possible. The transition from the first glider craft by the Wright brothers in 1903, all the way up to the Apollo 11 spacecraft and beyond, was nearly incomprehensible to even the brightest mind of the past. However, the aircraft was not the only necessary advancement in technology that made space travel possible. One crucial advancement came in the form of specially created and processed food for the consumption by astronauts in outer space. This specialty freeze-dried food was initially created by the Man in the Space Committee to rid meals of 90% of their weight, while preserving all of the necessary nutrients of the astronauts floating around in zero-gravity scenes. Other advancements, as simple as the creation of the anti-gravity pen, increased safety and productivity in space. The human race has come a long way since 1969, and once the first steps on the moon had been taken, NASA and other international space programs did much less than just sit back and bask in the glory of their successes. There are currently 1,071 operational satellites that have been launched into orbit, bringing the civilization below luxuries such as XM radio, satellite TV, and phone signals. Today's society could not function as it has become accustomed to without the technology provided to us by the technology in space. Most people do not give it a second thought, and just take these advancements for granted. Without the constant broadcast coverage from the space race of the 60s, space has turned into little more than a beautiful backdrop on our Apple computers. However, just like the Wright brothers in the 1900s, who saw the sky as an opportunity for adventure, scientists and explorers are deep in the creation of the next generation of space travel. An elite group of explorers have made footprints on the moon, but if they can do it, what's stopping the rest of the human civilization from doing the same? One of the many barriers of sending the general public to the solar system comes with money. The cost of space travel is incredibly expensive, which answers many of the questions as to why there has not been more exploration on the moon and other planets alike. Leading this modern manifestation of the space race is a man by the name of Elon Musk. He created a project called SpaceX, which focuses on the impending business of space tourism. Discussing his project, Musk stated, "If one can figure out how to effectively reuse rockets, just like airplanes, the cost of access to space will be reduced by as much as a factor of 100. A fully reusable vehicle has never been done before, and that is really the fundamental breakthrough needed to revolutionize access to space." SpaceX believes a fully and rapidly reusable rocket is the pivotal breakthrough needed to substantially reduce the cost of space access. The majority of the launch comes from the building of the rocket, which flies only once. Compared to that of a commercial liner, each new plane costs about the same as the Falcon 9, but can fly multiple times per day and conduct tens of thousands of flights over its lifetime. Following the commercial module, a rapidly reusable space launch vehicle could reduce the cost of traveling to space by 100-fold. SpaceX is also developing a free-flying spacecraft designed to deliver both cargo and people to orbiting destinations, called the Dragon. The Dragon made history in 2012 when it became the first commercial spacecraft in history to deliver cargo to the International Space Station and safely return cargo to Earth, a feat previously achieved only by governments. It is the only spacecraft currently flying that is capable of returning significant amounts of cargo to Earth. Currently, Dragon carries cargo to space, but what it was designed for from the beginning, to carry humans. Under an agreement with NASA, SpaceX is now developing the refinements that will enable the Dragon to fly crew. Dragon's first manned flight is expected to take place in 2 to 3 years. China is also developing a similar hypersonic space planes that may similarly bring tourists up to space. Perhaps one day, maybe in our lifetime, maybe in the next, summer holidays will be spent in the outer realms of the solar system. The innovations that have brought us this far should also be able to control the danger to a human being who is used to gravity and an oxygenated planet, and make it possible to travel through space and get a sense of the greatness that it holds. These technologies have been created to give an insight to the magnitude of the universe that we are a part of. Maybe one day, we will all come in contact with people from another planet who are out there searching for us, just the same. As Carl Sagan once said, "The universe is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. Our contemplations of the cosmos stir us. There is a tingling in the spine, a catch in the voice, a faint sensation of a distant memory of falling from a great height. We know the grandest of mysteries. The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff." Now it is our time to explore, discover, and revel in the unfathomably large area that we call space.